Welcome, and thank you for joining Between Sessions with Justin and Challie.
Just a quick disclaimer before we start. This podcast is for educational and conversational purposes only. It's not intended to replace therapy, counseling, or professional mental health care. We are sharing lived experiences and reflections, not prescriptions, and we encourage our listeners to seek professional guidance when needed. I am so excited if you're listening and not watching, I am smiling because I am so excited. Today, we're going to have some fun and we're going to talk about Disney characters and why they might be in therapy. I'm so excited. Okay, so let's see. What Disney movie do you know?
101 Dalmatians?
Oh my gosh.
Hoarding.
Yes. I recently rewatched that movie and I didn't realize that they met in a park and then that night got engaged. Like I was watching the movie and I'm like, so we might have maybe like some attachment, something.
Which is normally the beginning part of like hoarding is because of that unhealthy attachment. We need to fill that void with all those puppies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because who in their right mind is like, there's 101 puppies here, and they're just like, we'll have to buy a bigger house. Like,
Imagine cleaning up that backyard.
oh my gosh, I know. I was thinking that.
I think this is really common. Like, we have an internal issue and we try to fix it with an external thing. So, well, okay, I'm feeling really sad right now. What's going to fix it? Some dopamine. What doesn't a puppy fix?
Puppies. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was watching it with my husband and my son, and I didn't remember that part.
Yeah.
And I looked at my husband, I'm like, wait. Did they just meet in that park? And then she hit him in the head with her purse that had bricks in it. And then they both fell in the fountain and they were like drying off and they were like, marriage. And then all of a sudden they're married and having a baby. And I'm just like, let's see. Trying to think of another one that you might know. Have you seen Encanto?
No.
You have to see Encanto.
Okay. Why would they go to therapy?
They would go to family therapy for a bunch of different reasons. Generational trauma, because the grandmother, like, violently lost her husband and was left with triplets and was left to raise them.
My goodness.
Yeah. And that's traumatic. And she's portrayed as like really stern and like doesn't take any nonsense, but it's like there's some underlying trauma there.
There's some deep wounds. So
But
healing the family system.
yes, definitely some family therapy though, because and like each one I can think of too, like Louisa is the really strong one.
Mm-hmm.
And that girl, she needed a break. Like, she took her break. But, like, there was so much pressure. There was actually pressure on all of them. Like, Isabella, I think. Yeah. She had pressure to be perfect. And Mirabelle had pressure to fit in with her family because she was the only one without a gift. Like, there was so much pressure in this family. Like, we need to sit them all down and have a talking stick and give them some good family therapy.
What about Lilo and Stitch? Therapy.
Why would Lilo go to therapy? Hello? Sorry. Her parents died.
Trauma.
I think they died in a car accident. Yeah. So it was a very abrupt, sudden thing, and they both died at the same time. So all of a sudden, she's an orphan. And yes. And I also think her and her sister could use some family therapy because you go from being a big sister to a parent. That's a huge change.
Oh, what a change in your life. Expectations as well.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta give up dreams. There's a grieving process to that.
I could totally have Stitch for some play therapy. Like, I watched when he, like, built the town and then, like, destroyed it, and I'm like, play therapy. There it is, right there. Let's see. What about Beauty and the Beast?
I was thinking about that, and I'm not quite sure. Maybe some attachment issues?
Stockholm Syndrome. That is the first thing I think of is, like, Stockholm Syndrome.
Ooh, explain.
Because, now I'm not versed on this, but that's where you, like, for lack of better words, like, you fall in love with your captor.
Yeah.
Like, you're kidnapped, and this does happen.
Yeah.
You're kidnapped, and, like, your captor doesn't really have to, like, physically keep you there anymore because emotionally you're staying with them because you love them.
Yeah. And that can be out of comfort, out of avoidance, out of convincing. All of those things would keep us in that situation.
Yeah. But, you know, if they really, really wanted to make it work, probably some couples therapy.
Okay.
I mean, if you're gonna, you fall in love with him when he's a beast and then he goes through a huge transformation, we're gonna have, maybe a bit of like adjustment disorder.
That's true.
So that would be tough. That would be tough.
So couples therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cinderella comes to mind.
Ooh, okay. All right. What do you think about that one?
I think she would just need some really good talk therapy, and she could really benefit from working on like some trauma,
Mm.
maybe setting some boundaries,
Mm.
some self-esteem work,
Some like solution focus therapy.
targeted and concise.
Little Mermaid.
What is she doesn't know how to express herself when she's young, right?
I have so many issues with The Little Mermaid. Like, I love the movie because it's a Disney movie, but then I'm sitting there like, girl, you do not give up your voice and your fins for no man that you just saw on a boat. Like, he's not your true love. You've never spoken to him. Like, how do you know he's not actually a serial killer? You don't. Girl, you just gave up your voice and your fins for a serial killer. Like, you lucked out that he was a prince. Could have still been a serial killer, but so
Why would she come to therapy?
impulse control, and some psychoeducation on healthy dating. I really have an issue.
To change the entirety of ourselves for someone else?
Yes.
We say this and it's, maybe in the movie it's a little bit extreme of literally giving up their voice, but there's a deeper meaning to that. Sometimes we put ourselves in situations or
Oh,
situations come up that we
yes.
don't feel comfortable speaking or speaking out. So being able to build that,
We give up our voice.
we give up our voice.
I would never give up a beautiful fin like that, though.
Snow White.
Snow White.
Snow White, why would Snow White come to therapy? Caretaker?
Oh, yeah. Caregiver burnout.
Caregiver burnout. There are so many things on that girl's plate.
Right? Like, not only did she have the seven dwarfs, she had all them animals that she was
She's
like,
spread way too thin. I don't
like,
know how she regulated. She sang.
She did. She sang.
Talk about a really healthy outlet, though. Singing.
That's true. Although she was singing and waiting for someone else to come save her. So maybe that would be a little bit of like a solution focused therapy as well. Like, instead of waiting, what can we do? Because again, girl, you're lucky some prince came, but we got to figure out how to get out of these things on our own too. What about Finding Nemo?
That's some trauma therapy, too.
So
Emo.
Nemo and Marlin, yeah.
Marlin.
They both, I think they could do with some like family therapy. Mom and all of the eggs except Nemo. So I feel like dad would need a lot, like dad would need the therapy. Like he should have gotten right into therapy because because he raised Nemo so sheltered because he was just like so anxious all the time that he didn't want to give him any little tiny bit of independence. And so when the opportunity presented itself, Nemo went and touched the boat. But if he had been given little bits of independence, he probably wouldn't have felt that urge to need to go prove himself.
He would have made a more informed choice.
Yes.
Nemo, he could also really benefit from like some exposure therapy. And that's how anxiety is generational and environmental. Like dad was so anxious. He was just like a ball of anxiety all the time that Nemo fed off of that. And then we rebel against that.
Yes. Well, I don't know. My favorite is probably Aladdin. That's probably my favorite Disney movie.
Okay. Who would go to therapy in that movie?
Bye.
Why? Why would they go to therapy?
Okay. Princess Jasmine is definitely having an identity crisis of some sort. And her dad, I mean, he's not listening to anything she has to say in regards to her own life. And she doesn't want an arranged marriage. And he is not. And I love that cartoons are so blatant about it because he is like so clearly ignoring her right when she's right in front of him. Aladdin. I think he would benefit from a multitude of services. If he came in as my client, I would SPOA referral. No, I would seriously, I would get him into some type of housing program. I would get him into some type of medical something because he's been hanging out with a monkey. Like you might have caught like monkeypox or something. I'm just kidding. I know that's not how that works. But yeah, housing, job development, some type, maybe just an overall case manager. Like, yeah, I would have to get him in with a lot.
A lot of resources. What about Frozen? Who would need
Oh,
therapy in Frozen?
oh
Why would they
my.
come in?
Okay, I would love to have at the beginning. The one thing I really love about Frozen is so that okay, talk shit about the Little Mermaid because you just met this man, and that is the theme of a lot of Disney princesses. And I loved that in Frozen, Anna sang this whole song about how she was gonna marry what's his touch and whatever. And then she comes to Elsa and she's like, "We're getting married." And Elsa's like, "You can't marry a man you just met." And I was like, "Girl, finally." So, yeah, I'm gonna say some psychoeducation on
Mhm.
healthy relationships, red flags. Oof, yep.
I have to believe maybe like some sort of work on attachment as well.
Yeah, building social skills because she
Mhm.
only ever, since she was a child, interacted with the palace staff and her sister. Well, she barely interacted with her sister. So she doesn't have any experience with interacting with peers. So I think she would need to go to some type of social program to
Mhm.
learn to interact with peers. So that way, when the first person showed up to give her attention, she wasn't like, marrying you. And trauma therapy because both their parents died.
That's a common theme, it seems
Mhm.
like.
Mhm.
Thinking about all of the different movies, it seems like a lot of them do hit on very real life challenges that people might experience. So thinking about if we relate to any of those, I know there's been some that have really stuck out to me and really pulled at my heartstrings. And I've now, as I'm an adult, taken a deeper look of like why is this hitting me so much? Is there something within me that I can relate to a specific character? So I know, I mean, one in some way, but like Lilo and Stitch, that pulled at my heartstrings so much because it showed like I don't know, kind of the depth of the world and
Did you see the live action?
yes, that's
That really tugged at my heartstrings.
oh,
And so many people gave negative feedback to the ending being different. And I disagree.
yeah.
Respectfully, I disagree. I loved the ending because you have to remember, like, I know the title is Lilo and Stitch,
Mhm,
but Nani lost her parents at the same time. Like, she gave up everything. And
mhm,
the only reason she went back to school was like the only way she felt comfortable was because the woman and the guy were going to take care of Lilo and they are great people. She had the freaking portal thing. What is the difference of her being in school or her being in the next room? She could literally just portal there. But also, she didn't move away permanently to be a jerk. She went to school and the whole plan, I don't know if people miss this, was for her to come
mhm.
back and have a better life for her and Lilo. And I was so touched by it, and yeah.
That's a level of commitment to do a really tough or difficult thing for a shorter time to have a better life.
Mhm.
To know that, okay, what we're doing now is not working. And
Mhm.
admitting that we're going to continue this cycle and being able to show a different way to show problem solving. I thought that was incredible.
I loved it, and I like that they highlighted that because Nani was not an adult. She was, like, young. I mean, she was just going to college, so she was, what, 18?
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's technically an adult, but, like,
But
my brain wasn't functioning at 18, and she gave up everything. She could have just been like,
no.
"No, sorry. I'll visit you when I can," like,
Mhm.
she didn't, and I thought that was
And not to go dark, but there's a lack of resources when it comes to that. They struggled. That was probably her opportunity to try, or it was her opportunity to try and do something different.
yep, better, yes. Honorable mention,
Yeah.
since we're talking about Disney movies, I love Inside Out. especially Inside Out 2. If you have not seen it, it is so great for kids to be able to understand emotions, but also to be able to understand why we need them all, even the uncomfortable ones. And I love it. But when I saw Inside Out 2 in the theaters, I was a sobbing mess because it depicts, I won't give it away, but it depicts an anxiety attack and how that looks in your brain. And I was sitting there like,
How did they know this so well?
yeah, like, get out of my brain. That's exactly what it feels like. And it was really great, and it sparked conversation, and I love it. So if any parents out there have not seen Inside Out with their kids yet, do it because it is so accurate.
Because we have them. We have these emotions. And we don't need to fix them. We don't need to ignore them.
We don't need to get rid of them like they tried to get rid of sadness because why do we need sadness? But sometimes we just need to be sad.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love that they showed that like if you try to get rid of something and not feel it, you spiral. And she did.
The more you push it down, the more it's gonna show up in a different area, and many times that other area is more negative or has more negative impact than just feeling the feelings.
Mulan.
Okay.
Have you seen Mulan? My gosh.
I've heard so much about it, and I've not heard it. I need to brush up.
You do because okay, so I feel like after the movie, she's definitely gonna need some something. I mean, I don't wanna diagnose someone I've never met, but just for funsies, she would definitely have some PTSD going down,
Okay.
like, single-handedly fought a war, like, that's gonna lead to some trauma.
Has a lasting impact.
Ah, also, maybe some I mean, she pretended to be a man for a really long time, so maybe just kinda working through some identity things. Yep.
The identity piece is so important because especially through stressful or traumatic experiences, many times we do take on different personality traits that can be helpful or can be out of survival.
Mm.
So being able to see where we fall within that and where our comfort is.
That poor horse. I mean, it did good. It was fine at the end, but I was like, damn, it's getting buried under an avalanche. I think, plus, after also, there's going to be a lot of pressure. I always feel like, what's next? Like, you just saved China. What are you going to do now? And she says, like, I'm just going to go home. Okay, but then what?
Then what?
There is a Mulan too.
Okay.
That's okay. But yeah, like, how do you top saving China? But seriously, though, there might be some, like, coming down from that high
Yeah.
could get very depressing. Of, I did everything. Now what?
Yeah.
So there's,
Finding a new purpose.
yep.
Okay. Very good. I love that. What a cool episode.
Right? Oh my gosh.
So, thinking about our Disney's movies, if or other movies, kind of taking that deeper look. If there's a reason that something really pulls at our heartstrings, I encourage you to take a deeper look of why that might be happening. What is it in us that is showing up that's making us connect to something so much?
I would like to do a part two of, like, not Disney movies, just like shows and movies that have impacted us. Yes, but I know there's a lot more Disney movies. So if anyone else has, like Justin said, has had a Disney movie jump out to you and really tug at your heartstrings, let us know and we will let you know what they should be in therapy for.
Yeah, and what they would do. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Bye.